Vape 'em if you got 'em. You're watching another edition of Vape Chat on the Gear Obsession channel. Hidden formaldehyde in e-cigarettes. This is something that's been in the news, mainstream media, as well as the vaping community here on YouTube and just about everywhere else, even in some newspapers and news articles online. It's been around for a couple of weeks. I didn't want to do a video right away because I didn't want to jump to any conclusions. I wanted to let as much information surface before I went ahead and did a story, so I could sort of be as accurate as humanly, or at least friendly, possible. So I have some notes here I'm going to read. I don't read very well on camera, so please bear with me. But another alarmist, deeply misleading story about formaldehyde in e-cigarettes has emerged, and this story was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. Of course, the media reports on this study jumped to the thoroughly unsupported conclusion that the cancer risk associated with vaping is much higher than associated with regular cigarettes. In reality world, the higher voltage settings that were used in this experiment were unrealistic under, just normal vaping conditions that you and me would vape at. The vapor would have never been able to be used in the product the way that they had set it up in the experiment. In short, the experiment operated an ego-style vaping device outside the normal parameters at such a high voltage that it would have caused a thermal breakdown of the device, the liquid, and just everything inside that, and it would have produced something called a dry puff condition. For those of you who vape the serious stuff, I'm sure you have experienced a dry puff condition, and it is so bad that the vape is so acrid that you just could not inhale it, and that's the condition that they had created in this experiment. So unrealistic story, unrealistic test, absolutely misleading. I don't know if the people in the New England Journal who wrote that story were just looking for fame or just trying to scare or whatnot. But they took the little ego that's normally operated at 3.3 volts, they pumped it up to 5 volts, probably a typical coil in there that's about 2.4 ohms. So essentially they ran 10 watts through this little teeny device and created a acrid choking vapor device that no one could ever use. So with that, I do want to point out that for those of you that use the huge devices and maybe chase clouds and everything, yeah, you're going to operate up in that condition, but I guess you can't dry puff. It just doesn't taste good, although we accidentally do that sometimes, but we don't inhale an enormous amount and do it very often. Now, the vaping industry has been very, very good at self-regulating and, with child-proof caps and whatnot, but they're also coming out with some really truly innovative devices that I'm really looking forward to, and that's those DNA 40s with the temperature control that will eliminate the dry puff condition, and I'm hoping to review one of those devices shortly. There's always a lot of new vape gear right around the corner, and you always have rumors about some devices that are about to show up. Well, Mad Vapes looks like they're going to be coming out with a new DNA 40, or at least they're going to be sold through Mad Vapes. So it looks like this. It's called the Deviant. There's not much information on this device right now. It's a grip style box powered by the DNA 40 chip. I'm hoping that it does do the temperature control. Another device that, or at least another RDA that has recently come out to my dismay, is the Mutation X version 4. I just bought the version 3 at a local vape shop, and then I come home the same day and see the version 4 listed. I know this has happened to many of you. Now, you would have seen the Mutation 4 on my Gear Obsession Deals website. Please feel free to check out the link in the description box below to gearobsessiondeals.com, and if you would have seen it listed, I think for like $9 or $10, and it's at Fast Tech. I know a lot of you are not crazy about Fast Tech, but they do tend to have the lowest prices quite often. The one thing that you have to have is patience. So when you do order them, it could take a little while for them to send it out, and then it can, of course, take anywhere between 3 weeks and 2 months to receive it. So what I do in my head is I order it, and then I sort of try to forget that I ordered it, and then when it shows up on my doorstep, it's like a present that someone sent me, and that would be Mr. Fred in the past sent me, Fred in the future, a cool gift. So here's the Mutation 4. And you can see that the difference between the Mutation 3 and 4 is that they added more holes. Here we have the typical 9 holes on each side of the version 3. The version 4 has many more holes. Another thing they added was what appears to be some heat fins on the bottom, and then there's some slots underneath there over the top capped so that the heat could sort of get out of those holes. Hit or miss. This is a section of the Vape Chat that I sort of created to sort of cover sort of some devices that I've been playing with over the last week, and ones that I was really impressed with, which are the hits, and the ones that I've been not so impressed with and wish I didn't waste my money, which I'm calling the misses. Now, for the hits, I've been absolutely crazy about this Mephisto right there. I'm going to go ahead and hit the light right here on the camera, or over the camera, right there. The Mephisto, this is by Sig Green. Here's the box that it came in. And let's go ahead and take a vape real quick. And it has been impressive with every build that I've built on the deck of this device. The vapor is absolutely awesome, and the flavor is good too. It's not the best, but what this really has excelled for me is the absolutely incredible vapor in this device. And it by no means has the most airflow or anything. It's not the newest device, but I've been very impressed by this clone. Very good. I hate when you start talking when you still had half a lung full of vapor and it just doesn't start working. Miss. The Plume Veil clone. This is also by Sig Green. It just so happens that Vapor 99, a lot of the clones that they order at my local shop, Vapor 99, are the Sig Green clones. And I do like to support my local vapor shop. I don't just always go online, even though I know it's cheaper, because that brick and mortar store, I want it there. So if I do need a battery or I do need some juice right now, they're there. You don't support them, they're not going to be there forever. They're not going to be there very long. So anyway, misses. This is a Plume Veil. I did maybe post a couple of short videos on Facebook. Again, if you want to subscribe to my Facebook channel, there's a link down there somewhere. You might have to scroll down there just a little bit, but I did post some very short videos where I was attempting to blow some clouds with this Plume Veil. Now, it looked white. I went ahead and I have a buffing wheel down in my garage, and I went ahead and buffed it and made it look silver because it looked awful in white, but that was the only color that they had, and I really wanted to try a Plume Veil style device so bad that I bought it, even though it was a color I didn't like. So anyway, the thing about this is I've tried several builds in here, and nothing really seemed to produce the vapor like the old Mephisto. I don't know what the deal is. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick vape here. Now this is a lower ohm, so it was doing a little more vapor when I had a lower, even lower ohm setup in here. I'm sorry, this is a higher ohm. I think right now, yeah, this is a 1.2. Here, let me show you what I got going on in here. I'm not sure if that's going to be in focus. Probably not. There we go. But let me see. I think this is 28 dual coil I got going on here. Yeah. And what I'm impressed with, let me talk about the good thing about this plume veil taste. This might have more flavor, more taste than any other RDA I've ever used. It is absolutely incredible. And the reason why is because you have these air holes that are down here that actually run through the bottom of the negative post and into the RDA, so it's pulling air, sort of through the bottom as well as the holes on the top and on the sides and everything else. Now, what do I hate about this device? Well, it's built sloppy and loose, and not a huge fan. For instance, with the plume veil, if you're familiar with it, you have this Delrin insulator here that you can turn your drip tip and it will lower, and thereby closing or making the chamber smaller. In addition, you have some holes, 2 holes on the top, and it opens up those air holes so it creates an additional airflow pattern inside this device, thereby changing flavor, changing vapor in different ways. Now, if you can see this, it's wobbly. It's wobbly unless I have it all the way up into the stop. Another problem is if you turn this all the way where you lower that Delrin insulator, it hits your posts, or it hits something in the device that gets hot. So eventually it gets all dorked up in there, that Delrin insulator in there. So I just don't like that. Another problem is this top cap fits very, very loosely. I mean, it doesn't take much to just lift it off at all. Does it leak? Very slightly. There is a little leakage there. So these O-rings need, I need some bigger O-rings in there. It's just, I don't know. I just have not been a fan of this device at all. I feel like I wasted my money on it. If it weren't for the great taste, I would have thrown this in the trash 3 days ago. Build of the week. This section is sort of where I do a lot of builds throughout the week, and I'm just going to showcase one sort of right here, talk about it in summary, in general, and the things that I've sort of learned and things that I failed and did good, and maybe even create a little bit of discussion. So what I have here is a Mutation XV3 Authentic. I think this is like my first or second authentic. All I do is ever buy clothes, so it's nice I do that. And I also bought this at Bayside Vapors, is a local vape place, another local vape place. I have 2 right in my area, so pretty cool. And what I have built here is, can you see it? Can you see it? Let's see if we could get that a little bit in focus. There we go. So you'll notice that they're dark. I've been using the crap out of this, but this is a 28 gauge twisted Canthal coil. Now another thing you'll notice is that I have spaced those coils. They're not contact coils. I mean, you could have compressed or contact coils, or you could have spaced coils. And I've always practically, except at the very beginning when I started vaping, I've always done compressed coils. So I thought, you know what, let me go ahead and space these and see what happens. And I also went on to the electronic cigarette forum just to try to learn the differences, and there's a lot of debate of which one's better and even what are the advantages and disadvantages. I'm almost afraid to even talk about this because I'm sure it's going to incite a riot You know, I kind of feel this could be a hot button kind of subject, sort of like which is better, 9mm or 40 or 45 caliber rounds. You know, I'm almost afraid to talk about this, but here's what I could sort of gather on the differences with, or the advantages and disadvantages of spaced versus contact slash compressed coils. Spaced coils will give you a slightly cooler vape, and also your coils are prone less to gunking or fouling. Now for your contact coils, they'll heat up faster and they will take up less space in your RDA. At least I know that for a fact. They will take up less space in your RDA, of course. So if you have you know, a very tight area to build, of course it might be to your advantage to just go ahead and do contact. And you know, these are things that I have seen, discussed in the forum, as well as actually experiencing right here. So I've been very happy with this build. I've learned a lot of things. I'm just getting into twisting, maybe the last week or two. It's been fun, real fun. So this sort of leads into the next section that I'm going to call experiment. If I could find my mouse one day. Let me see, where is it? There we go. I have 4 screens going on. I'm still learning about and building the setup. So again, please bear with me. If you have any suggestions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I know most of you would, even if I didn't ask. So anyway, experiment. Twisting the coils. I've seen some people use like Allen keys in drills, and then you would have to hold it just right so the coil or the wire doesn't fly off. I took a slightly easier route. I have a drill here. This is a drill. This is a drill. Where I put a hook. You know those hooks? Let me go ahead and show you that. Just have one of these hooks right here that you could get in a hardware store. And I got one that had a nice flat stem, and then it had threads, and I went ahead and cut it short so I could just sort of put that into my drill, the smooth part, so I didn't have to worry about sticking, you know, threads down in there and messing up my chuck, even though I doubt it would. But you know, I'm paranoid like that. And I have this Bosch lithium ion drill. It's relatively small. I was looking for the smallest drill that was made halfway decent. So anyway, this is great for twisting even amounts of coil. So if you want to twist 2 or 4 or whatever, you put your coil around the hook, and then on the other side you'll hold it with a pair of pliers, and then you could do your twist. And then of course, like if you're doing a zipper or whatever, you gotta do it in reverse. Hit your reverse and then do it the other way. So just thought I'd show that. I don't know if anyone else has figured this out. I'm sure they have, but a lot of the videos and people that I watch on YouTube, I haven't seen anyone actually use the hook. They usually just stick the wires into the chuck. And in the case of like doing odd numbers like 3 or like that, you have to, because obviously you can't wrap a coil 1.5 times through, whatever. So there you go. Just wanted to show that off. Now speaking of tools that make your life easier, because these you know, vaping world and all these hobbies do tend to take up a lot of time, and I'd like to thank my wife for bearing with me and appreciate that I'm in here doing this for what seems to be 100% of my time when I'm not working. But I do have some other things here that can make your life easy. I had actually put this device on my Gear Obsession Deals website. You could get them for like $3 on Fast Tech or wherever your other vape shops are. But it's kind of neat because you have, let me go ahead and hit the light again here. You have numbers right there. Let's see if we can get that sharp. And it's different millimeters for your wraps. And it has like a stepped, where you just wrap around whatever size you want and you could do your coils. Pretty neat, huh? So one device, all these different sizes. You don't have to worry about having different size screwdrivers or drill bits or anything like that. Another neat device is this pick for your teeth. I use this a lot when I'm building, doing a build and I have to sort of push in things, push in the cotton into the wells of the deck and things like that. This has been really, really, really good. I've been very happy with that. Let's see. Another little thing I actually made was, your wire wraps that you use. I went ahead and stripped some of it off so you get this very, very thin wire. Just like that. And this is great for devices like the Mephisto. You have those little holes on the top. They tend to get gunked up. So if you need to clear those holes out or clear the holes that are going into the negative post underneath, this is really, really good. I've actually used this to clear jets and carburetors too. So very handy, very thin, and I'm sure you have some wire wrap around the house, and it's great for ungunking tiny little holes. Next is what's coming up here on the Gear Obsession channel when it comes to e-cigarettes and vaping. What I have coming up shortly, maybe this week, I'm not positive, is the Egrip right there. Many of you out there in the vaping world are going up, 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 up. Big devices. Like my biggest one right now is the Clopper T8. I think someone's being very nice and maybe sending me a Sigeli and I maybe a Hannah. I want to try a temperature control device so freaking bad. My local vape shop got two versions of the Flask. One of them is with the DNA 40 chip that does the temperature control. I am so tempted, but I funds, I can't just buy everything. So, but I have my eyeballs on it. So anyway, small, carrying around big devices, it's good when you're walking in the vape shop and you want to show that you can handle a big device, or you go into cloud chasing competitions and just things where your life is at the immediate moment revolving around vaping. But in everyday world, carrying around a big device, some of you might not be able to handle that. So what do? Well, this is one of those solutions. It's also great for, I believe, stealth vaping. So that's why I purchased this, and I'm looking forward to reviewing it. It's very, very small. The only reason why I haven't reviewed it yet is because of this little extra thing that I bought. This is the Egrip RBA base, and what that allows you to do is, like, you can have the pre-made coils that you install in the bottom of this, or you can put in a rebuildable coil that you could buy separately. But the downside to this is when you're building on this little guy, there's no way to check your ohms. So I came across an adapter. I think I got it on Sweet Vapes. I found an adapter that adapts this to a 510, so you can go ahead and put it on your meter and ohm it out to make sure that you're building something within the operating what do you call it? Operating parameters of this device. Wow. Sometimes I just wonder. So that's one of the things that I have coming up. Now another thing I'm going to probably be adding into the Vape Chat, but I haven't added it into this particular one, is maybe an e-liquid of the week, something that I enjoy, that I've tried. So if anybody was planning on suggesting that, already thought of it, ha! But we'll go ahead and add that in here probably in the next edition of Vape Chat here on the Gear Obsession channel. Moving on, I want to do a section here on the vaping website of the week. So what I have here is the Steam engine, and this has been an indispensable tool for me personally, and I know for many other vapors out there. What you could do with this is calculate all kinds of things when it comes to vaping, such as Ohm's law, coil wrapping, battery drain, and whether your battery is safe to use with the device that you're building, and mod range. And you know, they'll probably add more in the future. So like when I'm sitting down getting ready to build something, I have in my head what resistance I want it to be, and I can go to this website and say I'm using this wire with this. Okay, let me start over. This gauge of wire, and I'm going to do a dual or parallel build. I'm going to use 1 coil or 2 coils or 3 or 4 or whatever, and you can put all these numbers in. The number of wraps, the size of the wraps, and it will calculate what your resistance should end up. And I have to say, this thing has been within 0.01, like 100th of an ohm in accuracy. It's always hit dead on for me. But just remember, garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't put something in correctly, it's going to, of course, give you garbage out. So just keep that in mind. Another thing that I do is once I get the ohm reading, and I go ahead and I figure out what device I'm going to use and whether it's regulated, unregulated, or whatever, I'll go ahead and make sure that what I have built is safe to use with the battery that I put in my APV. So it's very important to vape safely, especially when you start getting into these bigger boxes, these bigger mods, APVs, whatever you want to call them. And I'm glad to see that many responsible YouTubers out there who are in the vaping community remind people about this when they're, you know, showing off a device that is potentially dangerous if you put a cheap battery in there. It's sort of like in the gun world, because I have done some gun videos in the past where you will stress the importance of safety checking or press checking your pistol or firearm or whatever as you're doing the video, or at least show that you're doing it and you're being responsible, because the media and people out there and whatever will be the first ones to point a finger and say, see what they're doing right here? That's why we don't need e-cigarettes, or that's why we don't need people or citizens in this country owning firearms. This is another example. We don't need to feed that. Believe me, there's so many people who it seems like their life revolves around doing stupid crap like that. So be responsible, and this tool will help you do that. So if your intention is there, here's the place you can go ahead and actually act on it and vape safely. Another thing I'd like to add every week is a vaping channel that I came across that I like. And I don't want to do the mainstream ones. Like we all know about Grim Green, which I really love, and Pseudo, I never get his name right. Rip Tripper, Twisted Messes or something. All those mainstream ones everybody knows about, likes, probably have them bookmarked. But there's some really good ones out there that are sort of unknown. And I'd like to bring those type of channels to you, and ones that are sort of unique. So this week I discovered this guy. His name is Trevor Jones, and his videos are kind of long, and he just sort of seems like a really real kind of guy, someone that I could sort of relate to, where you sort of have these one-on-one, very personable conversations, and he's just sitting there talking about vaping. He gives you details where he'll show you doing the builds and everything, and the guy is sharp. He might seem like really mellow and maybe give you the appearance that he's not, but he is extremely sharp, and I've learned a lot by watching his videos and builds and things like that. So youtube.com//Darley Spiniak, I don't know. The link is going to be below. I encourage you to check out his channel. If you like it, subscribe. I think he just went over 8,000. He definitely should have at least 100 times more subscribers. It's just so cool. I mean, this is a vaping video, so I should vape in it, right? So anyway, time to wrap things up. I hope this wasn't too long. I hope it wasn't too short. It's hard to accommodate everybody, but I'm just sort of feeling my way on how I really want this to go. And when things click, then I'll go ahead and sort of make them permanent. If they don't, or there's negative reaction, predominantly negative reaction to certain parts, I'll probably pull them out, because I want to make a product that we both enjoy, not just me. So wrapping things up, if you have any questions that you would like, because I'd like to do a question section where I can sort of answer it. Don't give me like very, you know, like I am the know-all of vaping and ask me these very specific technical questions, because I am not a professional. I'm just here sharing my obsession with you. There are better channels to ask the really technical questions, but if you sort of have, you know, a general question, I'll pick it and I'll showcase, I'll put your name out there, and I'll try to answer your question as best I can. So if you do, just go ahead and send an email to gearobsession@live.com. Again, it'll be down in the description box below, and in the subject line put vaping question or vape question. You know, as long as it says vaping question in there, I may put your question up here and try to answer it in one of my future videos. Another thing is, if you're a vendor or a reseller, manufacturer, and you'd like to see your product showcased on my channel or in this Vape Chat, you can go ahead and send me an email to the same email address, gearobsession@live.com, and put in the subject line review request. And I'll go ahead and start emails flying back and forth where we could go ahead and iron things out, and I'll review, possibly review your item. I do turn down a lot of requests, and I also sometimes will not do a video. You might send me a product, then I might not review it here on my channel because I don't like it. But I tend not to really do too many negative reviews unless it's a safety hazard or it's just something that I feel that people should know. But if you're sending me a product to review and I don't like it, I probably won't do the video. I'll let you know, and I will offer to ship the item back, especially if it's expensive, but only if you provide a prepaid shipping label. So I'll go ahead and put that up front so you know. But if you want to send me something and you want to get it out there, you can see how many subscribers I have. I think I got about 37,000 now. I don't like to brag about things like that, but you know, if you're someone who has a device or a product or whatever, and would like to see someone like me do an honest, personal review of it, I'd be more than happy to entertain that. Alright, well, thank you so much for joining me here at Vape Chat on the Gear Obsession channel. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, subscriber, and especially you. And I hope you have an awesome day.